Hey, you guys, Dev here at WeBuyHouses.com. Welcome to Cash Offer Masterclass, episode number 49. Tomorrow's episode 50, and that's going to be a special one with my guest Joel Bill. I hope you'll join us tomorrow for episode 50. It will be awesome. But today we're going to look at this house, this blurry house. That's going to be the theme of the show today because it started off with this blurry picture on Google Street View, and I don't know what happened to the Google Street View here, but then I was looking for a better picture of it, so I did kind of cheat and click on the images. The images they provided are even worse. So we're going to be dealing with some poor imagery today, but I think the house itself is a really good investor profile and one that we can look at. And it's in Orange, Texas. And one of the reasons I wanted to show you guys something down in Orange, Texas is, well, it's in a very different place than Dallas, Fort Worth, or San Antonio, Austin, Houston, kind of the markets that I'm typically looking at. And today, when you look at Orange, here's the edge of Texas. Orange is out here. That's east of Houston, east of Beaumont, almost on the border. Here's Louisiana over here, Lake Charles. In fact, it's pretty much in between Beaumont and Lake Charles, so they probably go into Lake Charles all the time. But Orange is a cool little community, and one of my factors I look at is what's around it. And here is the red indicator of the house. And if we just look around it, we've got Subway, Whataburger, Dickey's Barbecue, HEB. They have an HEB. We don't even have those in Arlington. I'm very jealous about that. Please, HEB, come to Arlington. And they got a Kroger. So my point is, this is a pretty well-developed area. It's got all the normal stuff you'd see. And so Orange is a nice place to be. I think so. And so we're just going to take a look at a house. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but when you got an HEB, you're not really in the middle of nowhere. I think that. Here's the email I got from Fazio Real Estate Solutions. You can see they dealt with the blurry picture as well. You can't tell much about the house from the picture, but if we just go look at it here, like I said, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, 1,908 square feet on the about quarter-acre lot. This is a very standard investor profile. Great rental, great flip. And they're saying ARV is 251, and they're only looking for 128.7. And when we come down and look at the big five, they say no known issues on all the big five. So it looks like a pretty good one. If we can just deal with the lack of good images, we can make this work for us. You guys remember with the cash offer calculation, it starts step one is to calculate the ARV, the after repaired value. What would the house be worth if we bought it, fixed it up, and put it back on the market? The retail price is really what the ARV is, the potential retail price. And then second, after we've determined what the ARV is, we calculate the repairs. That's going to be a little challenging on this one because we can't see very much. And then once we have our ARV and our repairs, we can calculate our cash offer using our discount factor, which today we're using 70. In our show tomorrow with Joel, we're going to talk about is 70% safe to use as your discount factor, or should it be 65 or something lower in a market where home values are decreasing. And so that's what we have today. So step one, ARV, is it 251? We went and looked out on Zillow. Zillow had it at 204 with a price history that showed it never reached 251, 209, 200, 204. So that's where Zillow's at, 204. Realtor has it at 209. And anything to tell? Yeah, their numbers coming from CoreLogic. CoreLogic fuels a lot of the MLS systems, by the way. So CoreLogic is a very good data source for us. Redfin, kind of the outlier here with a low bid of 178,306, and they don't well, they did have a sale history, but that doesn't tell us very much. Redfin has this little market trends thing that's pretty cool to look at because it'll tell you if things like what's days on market might you expect. And is it increasing? 99% of them are selling for list price. And median home value out there is about 260, and it's dropping a little bit. Recently sold 60. They're saying it's a buyer's market because of the factors that you see here. Decreasing price, increasing days on market. So we had those three numbers, and then I grabbed my number from Property Radar, which I can't show you that service because it shows all the personal information of the homeowners. But when we come back into our model, this is what we just saw. Zillow, Redfin, Realtor. Property Radar had it at 211. It was the highest of the four. That gives us a 200 average. Now, they said 250. So we're starting pretty far apart on ARV. I'm going to fudge this a little bit, and I'll tell you my rationale. I think the 178 is an outlier, and it's bringing the average down more than it probably really should. I don't know where Redfin gets the 178. I do really trust CoreLogic, which is what Realtor has, and I really trust Property Radar. Now, will the house be 178 in a year from now? It could be. Where the home value is decreasing in many markets in Texas, it could be, but I don't think it is right now. I think the value is closer to 209. What I did over here is I put in my square feet, 1908. I played with this number. I'm going to go with about 206 because I think if you just look at 204, 209, 211, that supports around a 206, I think. But you put that 178 in there and it brings you down to 200. I think it's a little above 200, and that's my rationale, is that I really like CoreLogic and Property Radar. So I kind of trend towards those when I have to make a decision. So 206 is the ARV we're going in with. Now, if we had no repairs, and remember they said no known issues with any of the big five. If we had no repairs, if the house was in perfect condition, we can pay $144 for it with the 70% discount factor. Excuse me. Now, that's what we talked about. We're going to talk a little bit about tomorrow with Joel. Is 70% still where we should be in a market where the price could be lower by the time we put the property on the market. So 144, we go back to the email. We're looking at 128. That gives us a little bit of room, a little bit of a discount there to the 144. So we got room for some repairs. So the question is going to be, what repairs does this place need? And that's what we're going to do next. We're going to go in, look at the very limited images we have, and see if we can make an assessment on our repairs over here in that section. All right, we jump into the pictures, and I told you I cheated a little bit, and this is what I saw. You guys know what this is, right? Somebody took screenshots of the photos off their phone. And it means they didn't know how to send photos from their phone to a Google Drive. Didn't really know how to handle photos. And so you get this. And this looks suspiciously like that picture that Fazio had as their header image. And it don't look good, y'all. As I kind of page through these, you can see absolutely no detail. This is worse than using a potato or a Game Boy to take your pictures. They were probably okay pictures, although they didn't look that good on the phone, to be honest. And then when you give us just phone screenshots, it's just not much. You can see flooring, there's a couple of different kinds of flooring. Looks like a real distinct line there. I think that might be tile, that might be wood. Who knows? Can't really tell very much from these. Flooring looks like wood. If it's wood, it might need to be redone. And if it's not wood, it might need to be replaced. Something is going on right here. I don't know what that thing is. Oh, that is really weird. It's in front of the couch. I think it's just something pushed over there. All right. That's where the fridge goes. What we can see in here is we've got basically, a beige wall and a kind of a pine caramel colored stain on the cabinetry. I think those might be tile floors. could be a vinyl product. Who knows? We can't tell. Well, here's kind of the great room. It's got a interesting fan up there. And I do like that ceiling. I mean, from what I can see of it, that's pretty cool. And wood floors, they just look like they need to be redone to me. I just see defects even in the blurry pictures. There's a triangle shaped, I think that's a window because it's glowing, and I think that's probably a window. All right, looking here at this door, we can see that is tile. This is pretty rough condition-wise, and if you look around this door, there's all kinds of weirdness going on there. Don't know what's happening up there at the top of the door frame, but this door does not look good. This is an indication of a house that needs a pretty full cosmetic and maybe even some repairs for a water leak or something that occurred up there. Yeah, I think this is kind of the big living area, and then there's the kitchen over there, and then another, I guess it looks like a living area back over in the back there. It looks like it's got some good volume. This is an island out here, all different colors of wood all over the place. I would try to bring that down, not have 4 different colors of wood competing with each other, Some of them you probably want to paint and just bring into alignment with the universe. All right, we are somewhere. That almost looks exterior wall. So I'm not exactly sure where we are in that room. Looks interesting. I'm going to go ahead and say the floors need to be replaced because they're either dirty, but they're just tile, and that looks like ugly tile. And the house looks pretty dirty. Again, worst pictures ever, worst ever. We're going to try to look at the bathroom in this blurriness. And, it looks okay. Who knows? Looks like they got some small tile in there and darker stain here. There's probably 6 different stain colors throughout this house. Of course, the stain on the cabinet doesn't match the stain around the mirror and that kind of thing. Yep. And there we get a better look at the bathtub. I'm not sure what's going on around there. Those walls, they don't look like tile. It looks like it might be one of those vinyl inserts that they put in. It's just these vinyl walls, but if it is, there's something growing on it. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm not going to take a shower in there because it's so blurry. Here's a look, and I believe we're in that bathroom. In fact, let me go back. I think that's up out of that frame as you see what appears to be water damage. Usually when you get that darkening color, it's not just that the house shifted or something. Something has contaminated the surfaces and probably mold up there. And that worries me when you see that at the top because it indicates you may have a roof leak. There's water coming in from somewhere, and the shower and bathtub are way down here. I don't think they're getting up there. So very concerned about that you may have a roof issue. Get to look at a blurry hot water heater. It doesn't look bad. It does have a pan under it. To me, that kind of says, relatively recent because, well, it's probably 20 years recent, but the pan's been required in our market up here in DFW for a long time. And there's the front door, and everything looks really nasty, right? All the walls need to be done. All the doors need to be done. All the floors need to be done. This is a full cosmetic. And, we'll just, for the purpose of our exercise today, we'll just assume that they're right, that the big 5 are okay. But we're going to, what our eyeballs are telling us looking at this blurry stuff is that it all needs to be redone. I think this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So this is, and I think we've turned around. I don't know if we're in the second bath. Yeah. This would be the second bath, right? It looks very similar. Maybe a little, maybe I'm looking at the same bathroom from different angles and thinking it's different ones. That tub looks, okay. But that liner looks unusual. I think that's what we are seeing. It's like a kind of a vinyl liner that's made to look kind of marbly or something like that, but it just looks yellow to me. Very yellow. And just some disgustingness on the floors and such, and too blurry to tell anything about it. I haven't seen cracks in the walls that I could stick my hands in. I guess that's a positive as I look through. Tile in the bedroom is not desirable. But, for a renter, tile in the bedroom, no big deal. Exterior picture just as blurry as the others on this. Somebody's looking at somebody. It's like somebody, we asked to see the pictures and they just held their cell phone up and just like, here's the pictures, Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. Oh, brother. They got a whole bunch of electrical stuff going on right there. Is this the front door or back door? I think this might be the back door. Like back porch area. Hard to tell, isn't it? In a closet. Yep, that's a closet. Oh, there's that triangle. So, yeah, that was that main living area right there, and there's the triangle on the ceiling. So it's got some good volume in that room. I think that's kind of cool. That it goes all the way up like that vaulted ceiling with the wood on the ceiling. Pretty cool. I'm gonna give it a blurry thumbs up for that. Looking outside, you can see down in orange, the vegetation looks a little more tropical than it does up here in Dallas-Fort Worth. But, we're looking at the house itself, and again, we just can't tell very much from pictures like this. And we are at the end, so we're going to jump over here to the model. That house clearly needed a full cosmetic, and I'm going to say full repairs. That's $30,000. And then we don't really know about the big five. They're saying they're all hunky-dory and wonderful. And we didn't see evidence in the blurry pictures of cracks. There could have been cracks all over that place, let's face it, and we just couldn't see them in those pictures. But I think, I could kind of stop right here and say, we don't really know much about this house till we see it. And this is one of those instances where, it's cool that the wholesaler did provide some images because, when we went to like Zillow, there's no images. There's just the street view. So there weren't any images of the house available. We could only see it through the pictures that were provided. I'm guessing Fazio hasn't been to this house and that these pictures were provided by somebody that was down in orange and they just didn't know how to send pictures. They probably just sat there and screen printed and emailed them over to Fazio, and that's what we get. But it does say, it would be hard to make any decisions on this one without looking at it because we really need to know if there's any issues in the big five. And then once we get in there, we might find that, it has a lot of external cosmetic issues and we might need to increase to say to 1.25 or 125%, to add some more money to clean up the outside of the property and, particularly if it needs exterior paint or things like that. My full cosmetic, when I go 100, I'm usually talking inside the house, carpet, paint, all that kind of stuff. And I pair that generally with 100% repairs because it's almost never just cosmetic. When you get into an older house, now this house isn't that old. It was built, well, it is 1968. It is an older house. And so, yeah, I was thinking 1998. Nope. That's why those tubs look so old. I don't like those vinyl liners that they put in bathrooms. I don't know what's behind the walls, and that really concerns me. I would prefer to rip those out, tile those walls, either repair, refinish, or replace those tubs. And that could really get up there. I'm going to go ahead and put 1.25 in there just because I think there's things that are going to be needed that we just couldn't determine from the pictures. That gives me $35,000 rehab budget on a 1,900 square foot home, which is a pretty good start, assuming it doesn't need anything major. That 35 would be about what you'd need to take an almost 2,000 square foot home and cosmetically clean it up. bring it back, make it look nice, and get it closer to the ARV value. So that's it. I'm at 109 on this house. They're at 128. We're about 20 or 19,000 apart. You never know. They may have gotten a really good deal on this, and they may come back and start to drop the price if it's not selling, or they may find somebody that says that's a pretty good deal for them down in Orange, and maybe they got their own crew and they can get in there and do it cheaper than 35. I don't know, but if I'm gonna have to go down there and hire crews and buy all these supplies, get that work done, I need at least $35,000 to walk into a house of that age and that size with those apparent cosmetic defects that we think we're seeing in the blurry pictures. That's it for today. 109 on that house at 1924 West Decker Avenue in Orange, Texas. Guys, thank you for joining us here on episode 49 of the Cash Offer Masterclass. You can always go to cashoffermasterclass.com, click on that Get the Calculator button. I'll send you the calculators for free. It's just a contact form. So if you have anything else you'd like to talk to me about, click the button and just fill out the form and say, hey, I've got a wholesale deal I want you to look at, or whatever the case may be. I'd love to connect with you guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It's the number one thing you could do to help us. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by December, and I think we're well on our way there. And for a channel, a lot of things get better for you once you hit 1,000. You can get monetized, you can do memberships, you can do a lot of cool things. So really want to get to 1,000 so we can better serve you guys in the community. Also, of course, you're already here, but just remember, you can always search for Cash Offer Masterclass on YouTube or even on Google, and it'll take you right to our content. Thanks again for joining us here on episode 49, and don't miss episode 50. We're actually filming it this afternoon, Joel Beal and I, and we're going to talk about the housing market going into 2026 and how you should get your head right for what may happen in trends with interest rates, home values, and things like that. It doesn't really matter what market you're in. When Joel and I are talking to you about these methodologies, this works in any market in the United States. So our techniques work for you right there wherever you are. Don't forget that. That'll be it for today. We'll see you in episode 50 and beyond, and help us get to that 1,000 subscriber count. I would really, really appreciate that. I want to stay connected with you. I want to keep you informed, and I have a lot more houses to show you. Have a wonderful day.